Welcome to Grain Damage, brought to you by Arruda Contracting. Find us at facebook.com/Arruda Contracting. Okay, so now we are ready to start mounting some of these rock holds. Previous video, I made this rock wall with my kids. We did 8-inch squares. We drilled holes every 8 inches, and then we added in these T-nuts and behind, so you hammer those in place. And now, so behind every one of those holes is one of these T-nuts. So in theory, all I have to do, take my handle, I grab, throw it inside, throw my bolt inside with the washers, and then in behind, T-nut will catch, tighten up to the plywood, boom, they can climb. I'm using 2 washers on mine because I like to overkill everything I do, especially when my kids are hanging off of it. And we are also going to use some of these plastic holds, which are done by Top New. So these ones are apparently some of the better ones out there. So give it a shot, mix it up, and we'll see how it goes. For these holds, I decided to use 2x4s. And my original angle, which you will see shortly, was varied between 20 degrees to 30 degrees. In hindsight, I should have just done 45 degrees. Because once you shape the wood, you actually lose a lot of that angle right off the top, which means I needed to sand down my shapes a lot more after the initial run through. So when I was cutting with the chop saw and the table saw, what I was doing was cutting some different sized blocks. So I had 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, I think even a few 6, and then I did 11-inch. You can see there, I gave them some angles. I did the sides and then the one top. Kind of wish I had done the bottom as well at this point too, because what I've ended up doing is taking this block and I'm just creating some shapes on it and using a jigsaw to cut some basic shapes. So this block can kind of turn into something like that at some point. And this one here, because it's 11-inch, I'd have 2 holes to on an 8-inch span for them to grab onto the wall. Then I was going to use my big sander to clean this all up. And then hopefully by the end of that, this is my first test piece I did. You're gonna end up something like this. This one I don't actually mind. It's not super smooth everywhere, but I kind of like that better because it gives it more of a rocky feel, in my opinion, versus the plastic ones. They're almost all just too easily shaped and too clean. Anyways, see what happens. While using my jigsaw, I cut the general shapes that I wanted. I could have and should have actually angled my jigsaw so that as I was cutting it, it would give me some of the angle to start with. Again, saving me some time down the road from sanding things out. After my shapes were cut out, I used my table sander to smooth out the faces and also create more angles where you would hold on to it. Again, what you are watching is my first pass, so I actually had to go back and really dig into some of these holes to give them enough grip to grab onto. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what I did for drilling out holes. You're going to end up with something like this, hopefully, in the end. And have the bigger hole in the center, obviously, for your washer, and then a smaller hole directly in the center for your bolt to go on through, just like that. Okay. Stop looking at me. What I'm using for this, so for the first initial bigger hole, I got a 1-inch, I guess an arboring bit. Having a drill press would make this a whole whack of a job easier. I don't have one, so I'm doing it by hand. And then I'm using, for the actual main hole for the bolt, I am using a 27th 64 bit to go on through. And bing, that's it. Okay, so we got my random piece here. I'm gonna lock it into, I have another piece of 2x4 below this so that I can drill through and not blow out the bottom. And seems to be the best way to do it. I'm just clamping my little piece on. I'm gonna load in that 1-inch arboring bit to my drill, pick my spot where I want to drill that. And then what I am really doing is, for the thickness of the top of the head of this screw here, I'm basically just doing the thickness of the actual bit. So once the top of that bit is level with the wood, I go just a hair past that, and then that's my depth for that. And that leaves a little space for a washer as well, so that everything should be nice and flush, or even just a touch in. Once the kids are climbing this, it's not going to hurt their hands. So I'm basically flush there now, so give it just a little touch more, so I'm like 1/8 down below. And swap out to my 27th 64th bit. Go into the center of that. Get it started, make sure you're nice and level. Drill on down. Then, knock out your extra crud inside there. And you got your little hold. So now what we've been doing too is we've been going around with just a little bit of sandpaper, taking off the edges on that. I'm not so worried about the little jagged pieces down below, because once I put my washers on, put the thread through, it's gonna clean it up all nice. And you see the back is not so bad like that. No big blowouts or anything. Initially, I thought I had enough holds to get the kids started on the entire wall, and then I could continue to add more as time went on. Unfortunately, they were too far apart, and it was making it basically impossible for them to get around. We decided for now to cluster them together on the easier wall, and I will make more holds and add them or rearrange them once we have another bunch ready. In the end, once I added more of an angle to the back of the holds, it all did work out. In the future, I plan on making more holds, but out of 2x6 wood. With the experience from these holds, I think we can tackle the next batch even better. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to see new videos in the future.